Where are my glasses?
Okay, so hello everyone. Today is Wednesday, October the 4th, and we are continuing in our study of A Course in Miracles. And we are working in chapter 3, The Innocent Perception. We are on paragraph 3, Perception versus Knowledge. Section 3, Section 3, Perception versus Knowledge, and we are on paragraph 5 today. But let's just settle back for a second, taking in a couple of deep breaths. And allow ourselves to be centered in wholeness. Because there is only one source. That essence is all life, light, love, abundance. And as we know these things, and we feel these things, and we experience these things, we allow this wholeness, this source, this essence to fill our entire being, all of our physical bodies, our consciousness, and our ethereal bodies with its essence. And as we go to learn these activities today of perception versus knowledge, we come to an understanding that this is what glory is. Glory is the essence burning within us and showing its expression through us, and us allowing ourselves to be a perfect channel for that essence, for that source, for the glory itself to be displayed in and through us. And for that, we can be so thankful, so grateful. We have so much to be thankful for, and so much to energize ourselves, our entire bodies, entire beings with gratitude. And as we are so grateful for these things, we just release this energy of source to go through our hearts, our minds, our bodies, to be in our own proximities, in our homes, in our communities, in our nation, and in our world. And with that, we say, and so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you. Would you like to read this paragraph?
I can. Hello, everybody. Um, First of all, as was already mentioned, we're in the Innocent Perception, Chapter 3, Section 3, and we're on paragraph 5, which reads, "The Bible tells you to know yourself or to be certain. Certainty is always of God. When you love someone, you have perceived him as he is, and this makes it possible for you to know him. Until you first perceive him as he is, you cannot know him. While you ask questions about him, you are clearly implying that you do not know God. Certainty does not require action. When you say you are acting on the basis of knowledge, you are really confusing knowledge with perception. Knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking, but not for right doing. Perception, miracles, and doing are closely related." Wait a minute, I lost my place. Knowledge, excuse me, knowledge is the result of revelation and induces only thought. Even in its most spiritualized form, perception involves the body. Knowledge comes from the altar within and is timeless because it is certain. To perceive the truth is not the same as to know it. The Bible tells you to know yourself or to be certain. Know yourself.
Mhm.
And to me, what that's saying is and based on our studies, my studies of the Course in Miracles, my reading and studying and trying to understand it, excuse me, to know yourself, then you will know God. Because there's a God that lives within every one of us.
Mhm.
And that God helps us to know ourselves, or teaches us, or shows us who we are.
Mhm. Yeah. I agree with you, Harriet. And another thing also is that in order to know ourselves, we really have to be honest with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, especially when we're young, we don't necessarily know ourselves or how to be honest with ourselves, because it can be so wrapped up with judgment.
Or how we perceive things.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, it's a combination of the two.
yeah.
Really.
And but as we get a little bit older and more mature, we do know ourselves better because we have an opportunity to be more honest with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are a bad guy, we can be honest and say that, hey, look, I'm a bad guy. I know I'm a bad guy. Either we can decide that we like being a bad guy, or that we want to change from being a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can know that we have a decent and loving heart. We are a kind and loving person, and those are the things that we strive for.
Exactly.
And the more we be honest with ourselves and act upon that honesty, I think that that's how we know ourselves, and I think that that's how we get to be certain. Because
Exactly.
I mean, and because we're always changing, we grow all the time. I'm not the same person that I was today that I was 10 years ago. There's some thoughts that I no longer subscribe to, or some people that I choose not to hang around, or some a lifestyle that I have given up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the essence of me is the thing that I know that to be true. That I love learning about spiritual things. I want to always grow to be a better person today than I was yesterday.
Exactly.
Those are the things that I know to be certain about myself.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, am I going to tell a lie? Probably. Can't say. I hope not to, but all it counts to what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
or am I, or have I determined that I will never lie under any circumstance? And then I work toward that. And so those are the things that I think that we can be certain of, is that thing that we keep in our forefront, in our
Mm-hmm.
minds, that we be very vigilant about.
Exactly. I had to laugh when you said never, because how many times have we heard the cliche, never say never?
Never say never.
Because at some point in time, you're going to have to eat those words. But I think when we say that, we are being as honest with ourselves as we possibly can.
Mhm.
And if we can help it, we mean it when we say,
Yeah.
never, I'll never do this or I'll never do that.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, something's gonna yank your chain, and you're gonna have to renege on that promise of never doing or never being or never whatever.
Or learn how to stand firm in it.
Exactly.
It's gonna be one of the two.
Exactly. Exactly.
And whenever I think about that, because I remember, I just remember this is so prominently. It was a fourth grade class,
mm-hmm.
and I think either we were reading the diary. I think we were reading the diary of Anne Frank. I was, in Catholic school, so we did a lot of things a little bit earlier.
Right.
And that was one of the things. I mean, would you lie? And under what circumstance would you lie? And we were just learning about all the sins, the cardinal sins and the venial sins, and so which one was which, and of course, lying is always a sin, but which degree of sin it was, and so that was some of the, so these were some of the moral questions that were put to us. And would we lie if we had people that we know that were being shipped off to be slaughtered? If we had them upstairs, would we lie about that? Or or would we be truthful? Would we be honest? And so I think that understanding uh, what type of individual you are and how committed you are to a cause also helps us understand ourselves to be more certain, and to know ourselves better.
Exactly. And as you were talking, I thought about the phrase white lie. What is a white lie?
Lie, a lie.
Because and what I thought about is the book you were talking about, the story you're talking about, the Diary of Anne Frank. And if you, to me, those people did not sin, those ones that were protecting her, because they were protecting human lives. They were protecting other human beings. So whether you utter or feign ignorance or whatever it is, if you're doing it to protect a fellow human being, I don't consider that, and maybe I'm wrong in feeling this way, but I don't think that is a sin, really.
Well, that's just the thing, that's where I think knowing yourself really comes in. Because, if you know, the more honest you are with yourself, if you know you don't have that type of stamina to hide somebody in your attic, then the thing would be to say no. You can't stay
Exactly.
in my attic,
Exactly.
or the thing is
Exactly.
that, yeah, the thing is that, you know, we have to get to this point where we absolutely know ourselves. And I think that that's why it says the second sentence is certainty is
Is
always of
always
God.
of God.
Because just like you were saying, it's not a sin to help another human being if that's what you feel.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
if you don't feel that way, then you have to be certain and honest about that too.
Exactly. And even if you do have the desire to help that individual, but you know yourself well enough to know that if somebody came in, the Gestapo or whoever comes in and starts demanding and looking, will you be strong enough to still hold to your conviction and say, no, there's nobody here? I don't know what you're talking about. And to, vehemently deny that you're hiding somebody and protecting somebody. It's
Mm-hmm.
and you're right. If you don't have the stamina or the backbone, and you know that you will not be able to hold up under those circumstances, you're better off telling those individuals, no, you can't stay here, because I'm afraid that I might not be able to save you.
And
Because
that's
that's
yeah, and I was going to say that, that's being certain,
exactly.
and certainty not only helps you, but it helps the other person too.
Go and find a safer shelter.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I couldn't help but look up the word certainty. And firm conviction that something is the case. In other words, the truth, the quality of being reliably true. The state of being definite or having no doubts at all. So it's I'm trying to think of another word because I don't like to use a word to describe the word. But it's being absolutely, positively sure that what you're saying is the truth. And I also, in looking at, when I looked up the word certainty, there were some other questions that came up because I Google everything. And they were knowledge versus certainty. Certainty is the highest form of knowledge, or the only and epistemic property of superior, or property superior to knowledge. So, and when I looked up the word, that word epistemic, they use the word knowledge. So basically, I think what they're saying here is you can be certain of something, but you don't necessarily have to have the knowledge of whatever it is that you're so certain about. You don't have to know. Sometimes, sometimes somebody will say to me, yes, I'm certain of this. Well, how do you know? I don't know, but I just know. I'm certain of it. And I think that's basically what they're trying to say there as far as the difference is concerned. Because if I'm understanding it, the way I was reading.
And this one right here says, in number 2, it says certainty is always of God. And although we don't really,
and that's why you're certain of something, but you don't know it, because if it's of God, then you have that there's no doubt about it.
Well, and I think that that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to bring up, is that although we talk about, the Son a lot in A Course in Miracles, and a lot of times we mention that he might be, we're talking about Jesus. We don't mention God as much, and how people view this source, because I think that many people are still seeing God as that old white-haired man in the sky, sitting on a throne. Some people don't know how to relate to what that entity is, if it is an entity. I think that that's really important, because if you're not certain that there is a higher consciousness, a higher power, a higher level of being, then you're not going to understand this whole lesson on certainty, you know. Uh and I because for me, like I said, it has taken me a lot of years to get past that concept that God was a man in the sky. It has taken me years to get past that. Sometimes now I still feel that way, but I choose no longer to believe that as a reality for me in my life.
Right.
But I had to find certainty to go around that. I had to understand why I pulled away from that concept, why I no longer wanted to choose to believe that way. And then what was I going to play? How am I going to replace it? Because it is a big um, part of my learning and the way that I act, and a big part of me. So, I think that also is us learning, me have, and I'm going to talk about myself right here. Me had, in order to know myself better, I had to understand what that concept was. And was it still serving me a purpose at this time? And did I really believe that, or was that just something I had been taught, and that was just the way that I perceived it? Because I really honestly don't think that anybody ever sat me down and said that God was this old white man in the sky. I really honestly do not think that that was something that I learned, say, in Sunday school or in catechism or anything like that. I think that it was all perception. I think it was all either just taught or what's that word that I'm looking for, when you just assume,
Yeah.
it was just an assumption. So,
Based on what you were being told.
Based on what I was being told. And so that did not lend much certainty in that area. And I watch a lot of TikTok. And for some odd reason, I'm in with the atheists now, you know. Because the way that the algorithms go. So now I'm in with the atheists, and I'm really seeing why certain individuals don't believe in that higher level of consciousness. And I think many of them, and some of them, are thinking that, okay, there's no such thing as big man in the sky. They call him the sky daddy. Okay, I get that. But there's also a level of that it's only mind. That there is no like collective consciousness, that is individualized mind, that is the thing that we are supposing to be great. And I think that that's a really fascinating concept. But I think that when you see a sentence like this, it's only what, 5, 6 letters, 6 words. Certainty is always of God. So if you're seeing that, that is such a provocative statement, because it really is, it's going to put you on a line. Do you believe it or don't you believe it?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And if you are certain that there is a higher level of consciousness, like I do, and I have realized that for me, the word creation, source, essence, those those words are more descriptive of what God is for
Mm-hmm.
me than it
Mm-hmm.
always has been. But it's only been within the last, I would say, 12 to 15 years that I have been certain of this shift, this change.
Right, yeah. Well, for me, I I was carried to church and Sunday school from the time my mother was able, after she gave birth to me. Um, I was taken to church and Sunday school um, on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, because we lived out in the country, and churches, many of the ministers had more than one church, so he would devote 2 Sundays of the month to one church and 2 Sundays to the other church. And for me, having heard these things, I think I've always questioned some of the things that I've heard, but because I was not allowed to question these things with my elders very often, and when I did question, I was told to be quiet because I didn't know what I was talking about, you know, that kind of thing. So for me, it has been something that has been bottled up. It's that burning desire to know and understand the truth has been bottled up in me for, well, practically all of my life. And I have had lighthouses, I'll call them that, lighthouses on my journey to this point in time, where somebody would send out a beam, but it was somebody that was like, the old phrase, two ships passing in the night. And that's basically what it was. I would come to know somebody, but then either I or they would move on. And when I say move on, they went away physically, out of touch, out of reach. And because the bonds were not that binding or that close, I wasn't able to keep in touch with these individuals. And I mean, with a subject such as this, I think you need to have somebody that you can just pick up the phone at any time and call if something is disturbing you, or there's something you don't understand about it. You should have somebody close enough that you can just pick up the phone and say, hey, I've got this question, I've got this problem. And that individual can give you some kind of an answer or reassurance. And I've never, until I became a part of Inner Haven, I've never had that kind of relationship with anybody of that mindset. And that's why, I am so grateful to you and to Inner Haven, because it has given me the outlet that I needed to get some questions answered and to discuss these things and not be ridiculed because of the way I see or feel or think about things like this.
I agree with that too, because we all, I would say we all have to have a safe space to in order to grow, in order to know yourself. You have to have a safe
Exactly.
space. Um, to choose to believe the way that we believe. And I think that's where certainty comes from.
Right.
Let's move on. We'll be on that one for
Forever.
But I think that that's a big concept, because I think that we should always bring it up, because it all accounts to, you know, how people see it. I know that, you know, most people still see God only as masculine. I mean, just the word God, it's, you know, it looks like it should be a boy, a he,
Right.
you know, a masculine. But who's to say that goddess has to be that word, you know? Why isn't God seen as what's the word, androgynous? You know, why is God only seen as masculine? You know, yeah. And I think that when we challenge ourselves with what we see versus that's the only way that we can get to know and be certain of what it is that we believe.
Exactly. And metaphysically, God is seen as both masculine and feminine. And people that are more spiritual than they are religious, they will say Father, Mother God, as opposed to Father God or Mother God. They use both terms because they see, and psychologically, we learned that, you know, when we study psychology, and I think that comes up in psychology 101, that we all have a masculine and a feminine side. This body may be feminine, but the spirit is both masculine and feminine.
Number 3, when you love someone, you have perceived him as he is, and this makes it possible for you to know him.
And that is so true. And what I'm seeing there, when you love someone, you have perceived him as he is. That means that you accept them for what they are, for who they are. False, you know, warts and all, so to speak, because nobody, excuse me, nobody is, shall we say, perfect. We are perfect in our own way, and my perfection is not necessarily your perfection. And if I love you, like I said, warts and all.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I see this also is that, and the second half of it, and it makes it possible for you to know him. And I think that, you know, that also comes to the place where where acceptance is important, because a lot of times we are tolerating people as opposed to accepting people. You know, and we don't necessarily allow them room to be themselves. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, you know, you are who you are. And I'm not only talking about an individual, I'm talking about groups of people, businesses, races, you know. Then, you know, so, you know, if I, you know, it would be negative for me to walk in the room and say, well, you know, I just don't like a certain group of people, without knowing anything about them, you know. But, you know, but yet I have only tolerated them, but I have not learned to accept them as being individuals to start off with. You know, being individuals, and just know that just because I have met one person of this, say, nation or this nationality, it doesn't mean that everybody from this nationality is just like this one person that I knew. So, I can't go up to and expect everybody to be, kind and wonderful and loving and warm, because, the one person that I met was like that, and the one person that I have accepted is like that. I can't expect that the next person is going to be that way too.
Exactly.
But in order for me to love them, I have to love them based on the way I love myself, which is through acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can only love you no matter who you are, because I accept you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think I had mentioned, and I'm just going to tell this story real quick. Recently on TikTok, because that's where I get all my news information from. I was had seen this story about a man who was a photographer, and he had won a Pulitzer Prize for his photo of a young girl that was, that there was she was dying and there was a vulture nearby.
Mm-hmm.
And that person said that they went to this conference, and somebody in the conference asked him what happened to the little girl, and he said he didn't know. He didn't know what happened, because he had to catch a flight. So,
Mm-hmm.
that lets me know that that person only accepted that child, that as a group of a person. It was only tolerating that group, as opposed to accepting that group. Because
Mm-hmm.
if he had accepted that person as someone worthy, he would have said, "Hey, look, I wouldn't want this to happen to my daughter or
Mm-hmm.
me, for
Mm-hmm.
heaven's sakes. I wouldn't want this to happen to me. So let me make sure that this person is put in a place where there's going to be health and goodness that will come from them. It's not going to be this imminent death that I'm witnessing now. You
Mm-hmm.
know. So when it's hard to love someone that you really don't care about. So, I think that this is what the sentence is telling me, is that when you love someone, you have perceived him as he is. You know, um, you have received, like you say, warts and all. You have
Mm-hmm.
received him as he is. You have accepted him as he is, and that makes it possible for me to get to know you. Because if I'm
Mm-hmm.
allowing myself to get to know you, then I am allowing myself to be that source, that's essence in me, to speak through me, and
Mm-hmm.
to hear from your essence and your source, so that so that I can also be a part, so that I can also be fed from from your from your proximity to essence. Hopefully that made sense. It made sense to me.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Did you want to read number 4? Did you want to go on? You got any more
Yeah.
comments about that?
No, no.
Okay.
But I think that story that you just told, I think I know I saw it. And I don't know whether it was from one of your little messages that you sent me,
Oh,
that you shared with me, or whether I just, stumbled upon it myself. But I'm familiar with the story. Let me see. Until you first perceive him as he is, you cannot know him. Until you first perceive him as he is, you cannot know him.
well, I see that as like you were saying at first. You have to, you have to uh accept him as he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, warts and all, and not to have any type of um
Prejudgment.
prejudgment. I'm just perceiving you. I'm just observing you. I'm just seeing who you are,
Mhm.
first. And then so that's the way I get to know you.
Mhm. Mhm.
There
Um,
are, that's one of the things that, that that my mother always taught me. She said, never trust the first impression. And and that's always the thing that people say, you trust, you trust that first impression. But my mother said, people are false. They're going to give you their best. They can put their best foot
best
forward
foot
as
forward.
their first impression.
Mhm.
So she said, never trust her. Nope, never trust the first impression. Get to know that person first.
Mhm.
And I think that most people, they come in, they're dressed up as in suits, or they have on diamond rings. So you think that they're rich, and they don't have a dime. As a matter of fact, the money that they have is the money that you're gonna give them.
Mhm.
They're already planning on how much money they're gonna get from you.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things that I think that, until you first perceive him as he is, you won't know who that person is based only on only on my perception. I have to really perceive you as you are. I have to allow myself to get to know you. I have to allow myself to listen to to what you're saying to me.
Mhm.
You I have to really pay attention to how you are communicating to me. You know,
Exactly. Exactly.
what is your body language like?
Mhm.
Are you looking me in my eyes? Are you, you know,
Are your
too
arms
busy?
crossed in front of you?
Right. Or yes, yes. Are you too busy? You know, and if that's the case, are you always like that whenever you're around me?
Mhm. Mhm.
You know?
And sometimes you meet a person for the very first time, and they could be going through some kind of situation that's disturbing to them, and try as hard as they might, they cannot mask that turmoil that's going on within them, and it oozes out in their conversation, or um, in some way that is obvious, and you get the, like your mom said, um, don't be impressed by that first perception.
Hmm.
And that person will come across and you have an uneasy feeling, but then you learn further down the road what was going on at that particular moment in time with that person. But as you have more contact with that individual, you learn that that first impression was way off base.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And I think that that's how we get to know people.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's not only it's not only individuals, but it's cultures,
Mm-hmm.
it's regions, it's everything. you know
Exactly.
and so you can't just base something. And that's why, going back to this whole concept of God, you know for, like I said, for a long time, I just, it took me a long time to decide, did I really believe that there was a God, that there was this man that lived in the sky? Is that what I really truly believed?
Mm-hmm.
And um because that was what my culture of being a Christian had taught me. you
Mm-hmm.
know so so I think that, when if anybody had met me, were they actually, did they ever, could they get to know me,
Mm-hmm.
because of what I was believing about myself. And I think that this is, that's why so, I can't say that every Christian is bad. I can't say that anybody else is good, or, just based on my limited knowledge of whatever it is. Because like I said, it took me years and years and years to unpack that and to stop believing that.
Mhm.
And if there was somebody trying to get to know me as a Christian, would they have recognized me as a Christian? And would that have tainted all the other Christians that they knew? Or were they just lumping us all in together? And I think that that's one of the things that that this sentence is saying. Until you first perceive him as he is, you cannot know him. We're all at different stages in our life, in our
Walk.
in our growth.
Mhm.
Some people are actively pursuing spiritual growth, and some people are not. Not saying that they're not still growing, though they don't have any spiritual pursuits, but that's not a big deal to them. And
So
either which way, it's okay.
exactly. I just I just kind of compared what you just said, thinking of um uh being in cooking something in an instant pot, and then there's some that are being cooking in a slow cooker or a crock pot.
Mm,
And of course, with some it takes a little bit longer. I mean, some trees grow and grow and grow, and they can be it can be determined that they are 300-400 years old. And then
mhm,
there are other trees that will live for just a short period of time, and then something will happen and they die or they get cut down or whatever. Um, and of course, the environment has a lot to do with how
mhm,
fast they grow and all. So uh, it's the same thing with us as spiritual seekers or
mhm,
believers in God. Some of
mhm,
us, it takes a long time to come to terms, come to grips, come to an understanding. And with others, we grasp it right away.
mhm, mhm. Number 5 is, while you ask questions about him, you are clearly implying that you do not know God. While you ask questions about him, you are clearly implying that you do not know God. Let's read number 6 to go along with that. Certainty does not require action. Well, that's not telling me anything. What are your thoughts on number 5?
While you ask questions about him, you are clearly. I I don't really agree with that, because I'm I do and I don't agree with it. And what I'm saying is, while you ask questions about him, is because you do want to get to know him, know who he is, understand who God is. And I'm not going to say I don't know, because I know as much as I do know right now, but I want to know more.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the best
Mm-hmm.
way that's how I see that. I think it's just the way it's worded is.
Well, it's the clearly implying to me.
Mhm.
While you ask questions about him, you are clearly implying that you do not know God. And I guess, I guess so. Yeah. As long as I'm questioning, like I said, going back to my thing, I did not know. I mean, I you know, it was hard for me to say that I did not believe that there was a man in the sky.
Mm.
I found that hard. I felt that to be heretical. Is that the word?
I'm not sure.
Heretical, like a heretic.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I found it, I felt that way. I felt, that I was denying, I felt bad, So I really had to get down to the essence of what my question was. So
Mhm.
I guess like what you're saying is, so like, I guess, yeah, you are clearly implying that you do not know, because I did not know. I did
Mhm.
not know, because I knew I had outgrown that idea that, God was this old man in the sky. I knew I had outgrown that, but I just didn't have a picture or an image to go along with that.
Right.
And
Right.
I think that, and really that's how, the Ten Commandments was one of the things that really helped me with that, because we're not supposed to have a graven image. That's the
Mhm.
second commandment. We're not supposed to have a graven image. We're not supposed to, go around thinking that God is this old man in the sky.
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, we're not supposed
Exactly.
to have a graven image so that now I can't see past that. That's a stumbling block to me. And
Mhm.
I'm not, to some people, it's not a stumbling, it's a comfort. Well, great for them. But,
Mhm.
I think that having that graven image made me um, uh, trust the image more than to be um, expressive. And and I think so. I guess that, when I'm looking at this sentence here, while you ask questions about him, you are clearly implying that you do not know God. Well, yeah, because it but now I am certain that I do. I am certain that there is that the old man, the old white man, going, put a little bit more detail on it, with the long hair and sitting on the golden throne. All of that is gone for me now.
Mhm.
Um, and the thing that has survived is just simply source. It is simply essence. It has no shape, no form, but it is shape and form. You
Mhm.
know, so
Mhm.
and so it doesn't have to be. It can be the old man in the sky sometimes. If I need
Mhm.
that, and or else it can be, mist or air or
Mhm.
wind or breeze. We can see the breeze only because of the trees are moving and
The
we
trees
feel
and
something,
yeah.
but you can't see the breeze.
Mhm. Mhm. And you when you brought up that whole idea concept of God being that man in the sky, it was in my later years that how do I phrase this? Because it wasn't something I believed, but it was that image came to me. Because when I was growing up, when I was younger, a thunderstorm, the thunder and the lightning, that was God speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I wasn't taught this,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the concept that I formed as far as God was concerned. I didn't, and I heard the he being used or the him being used,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't really register with me. Um, but and maybe it did, and I just accepted it, and I don't know. But like I said, it was, in later years when I started to attend Bible study, not so much Sunday school and such, but when I started to attend Bible study as an adult, and I heard things being said, that the concept of that and ogre in the sky that's going to breathe down anger and revenge on this earth. But I think I have always, what I'm trying to say is, I don't recall seeing God as that ogre that's going to breathe down hellfire and brimstone. And maybe because I just didn't want to believe. I heard it, but I didn't want to believe it.
Yeah. And I guess, going from that, that was not my impression. That was not my impression either. If God got you, it's because you needed to get got.
Right. Right.
That was always the way that I saw it, that that God was just. And he just wasn't out just to punish you for no reason. Usually, I don't think I was taught that, but I had always heard that people had thought of God as a bad guy, and I always wondered, how did they come up with that conclusion? How did they come up with that conclusion? Because, yeah, I mean, yeah, God could be, smite them all. He could be like that, but it might not seem as if you're gonna wipe out the whole earth,
the whole of humanity,
wipe out the whole earth, and only save this one family who were a little incestuous, kind of, sort of, anyway.
But with that story, what I'm seeing and understanding is that it was an event that actually happened, but different cultures are telling that story in one way or another. That if you go to China or Japan or India or with the Native Americans, each of those cultures is going to have their take on that story.
Most people do have a flood story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But that, but so that to me, so it never, God was never that bad guy. I mean, like an ogre, he was never that,
Right.
But it there was a marked change.
Right.
There wasn't marked change in consciousness, But anyway, then I think we're going down a rabbit hole.
Go
ahead.
No, I was just saying, because this planet, this environment, this universe has been around for eons, and when I say eons, I don't know how long that is, and you have recently mentioned something about a reset. And when you look back scientifically, you look back and you see, these huge animals, the dinosaurs. And there are some remnants of them left over, like the elephants and the whales and things like that. And of course, finding the bones of these gigantic animals. What happened to them? What, wiped them off the face of the earth? And so many nowadays people are more aware and more conscious of certain species becoming extinct, and they're doing everything they can because they do have more knowledge and understanding, and they're able to share this knowledge and understanding with different cultures and people and different perspectives, and they're able to share. So I don't, yeah, there's going to be a reset. I believe that, but I don't think it's going to be as drastic as it has been in the past.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, number 6.
Okay.
Certainty does not require action.
Oh,
And, huh?
no, I was trying to see where you were, but I see
yeah,
it.
number 6.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Certainty does not require action. And I agree with that. You know,
Yeah.
when you're certain of something, you know, there's nothing I got to, you know, I don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I'm certain, you know, to be here. I'm certain that I'm here on time. So, you know, it's nothing that I have to do. You know, so you know, I do agree with that. And and I think that, you know, as long as you're still questioning, you still don't know, so you can't be certain.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And number 7 says, when you say you are acting on the basis of knowledge, you are really confusing knowledge with perception. And I think that that's the big thing right here. This is what this whole chapter, or this, well, really this
Perception.
whole section is about.
Yeah,
It is about,
perception
you know, understanding the difference between perception and
and
knowledge.
knowledge.
And I
Yeah.
think that, you know, we have not, as humans, we haven't been, that's something that we have not done. We assume that what we perceive is knowledge. You know, I know all about white folks because I've been around them, you know. And so now I know all that I need to know about them. And that's, you know, that's not true. That's not knowledge. That's my perception, you know. That's only perception. That's not fact. I mean, that's not true. That's not even, I mean, that's not knowledge. You know, I don't know everything that there is to know about any
About
other
anything.
culture or people or person,
Right.
you know. And I think that um I you know, and I'm gonna say the whole world is like that. But this is one of the things that, you know, why I think the Course in Miracles is so important, is because we haven't been given um, um, enough awareness of mental capacities. And this is one of the things that A Course in Miracles is helping us understand, is the mind. You know, we have really, humans, I mean, when I say we, humans, we have been so focused on actions, and our actions are the things that we rely on, that certain things have happened, so this action must be the thing that is certain. But now that but you know, if it's only based on a perception, you know, we think, you know, if you have perceived that all women are weak, they're the weaker sex, you know. So, you know, so that means that you can, you know, do whatever you want to them because they're not as strong as you know. So and all of that is perception. None of that is knowledge.
Exactly. And it's not true.
And
Not
yeah,
necessarily true.
yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's the thing that really that where we have been confused, because we have been taught something based on either somebody else's perception, and now we perceive the same thing.
Exactly.
You know.
And I think a lot of it has to do with experience. What have you experienced? What kind of storms have you been through in your walk on this planet, or in your travels on this planet? And say somebody a kid learning to ride a bicycle, And the first time they get on the bicycle, they don't have training wheels. There's somebody holding the bike up so that they can pedal. And when the person that's kind of guiding the bicycle lets it go and you fall, depending on how you feel about being hurt or injured, will determine whether you get back up on that bicycle and try it again because you determine you're going to learn to ride a bicycle, or whether being hurt is not something you want to experience. So I'm not going to get back up on that bicycle.
Mm-hmm. 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 And that's how we, and number 7 says, when you say you are acting on the basis of knowledge, acting on what I think that I know, you are really confusing knowledge with perception. 8 says, knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking, but not for right doing. Wow. Knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking, but not for right doing.
Yeah, because you could know something. I mean, look at what we've been through in the past, between 2016 and 2020, as far as this nation is concerned.
Yeah.
And look at what's going on now. And when you look at what happened on January 6, 2021, and there are people that are believing that garbage and espousing, and they want to bring that whole scenario back. Come on. That's you know what's going to happen because you've been forewarned, but you still are going to pursue it. No. And that's exactly what that doing right. Yeah.
Knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking,
but not for right
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you like you say, you can be very creative in your thoughts. You can scare the wits out of somebody. It's gonna happen. If you don't, like you say, if you don't riot, it's gonna happen. But that deters you away from doing what's right. You can, when you know what's right, you will, you don't need knowledge for that. You know what I'm saying? It's not that you don't need knowledge. That was not the right word. I mean, that was not the right thing. Because knowledge is kind of, or do you? Or do you need knowledge? Knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking, but not for right doing. Yeah. Yeah, because
because go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I was going to say, if you know something and you can take that knowledge and be creative, whether you're going to create an object or whether you're going to create a business, whatever it is, with the knowledge that you have, you use it to create something. But what you are creating, is it good? Is it for the good of mankind? Is it going to benefit all of humanity? Or is it for selfish reasons and to heck with everybody else? That's what I'm getting from that.
Hmm. Yeah, because knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking, but not
Mm-hmm.
for right doing. So knowledge doesn't give you the strength to do the right thing.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
knowledge, I guess, it knowledge helps you um
But
see
it.
see the thing, see it
Mm-hmm.
creatively, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't put the action toward the knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, because it doesn't give you knowledge doesn't give you the strength to do the right thing. You might know how to do that, you might know what the right thing is, but it doesn't give you the strength to do the right thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
You might not be strong enough to do it. You know it, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
strong enough to do it. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Because that one had me stop for a minute.
Mm.
Perception miracles are. Oh, wait a minute. Is that number 9? Perception miracles and doing are closely related. Perceptions, miracles, and doing are closely related.
I
Yeah.
perceive. I perceive.
Mm-hmm. And the miracle is
It's the
the miracle
create.
is turning is coming to that place of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You perceive something, you come back to that place of awareness, and then you
Do
can
something. Do
follow
something
through.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, then you can do something about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um,
And it's almost like they're so closely related that sometimes it happens. Each of those happens
instantaneous.
instantaneously. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's the thing that makes it a miracle too,
Mm-hmm.
is that it is instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
You have that later on. We'll see it as the holy instant,
Right.
where everything happens all at once. And
Right.
when you think of the miracle, and then yeah, I'm gonna get you to look at your at the 50 principles, because isn't there a principle that kind of states that miracles are something, that's something that you do.
Okay. Wait a minute. Let's see. Perception, miracles, and doing. Oh, let me put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. Oh man. I'm looking at principle number 2 and number 3. Miracles as such do not matter. The only thing that matters is their source, which is far beyond evaluation. And then number 3 says miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them.
Mm,
In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. So
yeah.
is that the
That that sounds like that. I mean, that sounds like it, because it is perception, that is perceiving.
mm-hmm,
Because you're perceiving love.
mm-hmm,
You know, miracles, miracles and action are like the same thing.
mm-hmm,
Because the
mm-hmm,
miracle, is that that awareness being what change. You have pivoted your awareness. I can't think. And by this time, I should know the Course in Miracles definition of miracle. um,
all right, let me
yeah, because it is it's the change,
part of the man
it's
part
the
of the
shift in
manual.
perception.
Yeah, wait a minute.
It's the shift in shift in perception. I don't as soon as I instantaneously see it a different way, it is a different way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that can shift and change the environment, you know.
This is the ego, the miracle. What, and I'm looking at the manual for teachers, section 2,
Mhm.
and it's paragraph number 7. What is a miracle? A dream as well. But look at all the aspects, and I think if I went back and read the paragraph above, which addresses the ego, that would probably better understood, but I'm not going to do that right now. But look at all the aspects of this dream, and you will never question anymore. Look at the kindly world you see extend before you as you walk in gentleness. Look at the helpers all along the way you travel, happy in the certainty of heaven and the surety of peace. And look an instant too on what you left behind at last and find paragraph 5. Yeah.
But anyway, perception, miracles, and doing are closely related.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is an action. There is an action, even if it's just something that's spoken. Even if it's just the thought. A shift in perception. That changes your whole world. It can.
Yeah.
Because for the life of me, getting back to my story, my God story, I cannot remember the thing that made me change. What was that seminal moment that says, I don't believe, and I couldn't see it then, but I don't believe that God is a man in the sky.
Right.
It was a shift in perception that made me think that. And it was drawn out for years to make be able to unravel and work it out. But it was that one thought that happened, and I don't know where it came from. Whether it came from me or whether it was something that was presented to me or what. I might have to go look back in my diaries and my journals and see if I had ever written that down.
Yeah.
Number 10 is 6:25. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Whoa.
Knowledge is the result of revelation and induces only thought. Knowledge is the result of revelation and induces only thought. Oh, okay. I do know that revelation is one of is in one of the principles. Can you see it? Can you tell me where it is?
Okay.
Revelation.
Hold on. The first one that I have underlined with revelation, miracles are a way of earning release from fear. Revelation induces a state in which fear has already been abolished. Miracles are thus a means and revelation is an end.
Okay. So knowledge is the result of revelation, which is the ends. And induces only thought. Yeah, because now when something is revealed to me, not knowledge comes from that. Because revelation is something that I didn't look it up. It came from out of nowhere.
Right.
And now I know something. And so that's the thing that induces thought. Now I'm thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I am contemplating whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Knowledge is the result of revelation.
And
And
indeed, it's only thought. Yeah.
mm-hmm. And induces only thought. So that when I have the revelation, which comes as I don't know, some type of truth, I guess, does it come in picture form or does it come in words? I don't know.
Probably both.
There's that thing that it was revealed to me, some information
Mm-hmm.
that was revealed to me, and now I know about it, and it induces only thought. So that doesn't induce action.
No.
That induces just thought.
Just
So
thought, yeah.
yeah. So I only can.
But it leads to action, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't induce it.
Right.
Right. Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even in its most spiritualized form, perception involves the body. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
And that's true because you can feel it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can feel it. Even in its most spiritualized form, perception involves the body. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you are perceiving something, and this just, say, you go into a room where there has just been an argument,
You can feel
you can
the
feel it.
tension. Yeah, you
You
can
can
feel
feel
the
the tension in the air, whether there are people in the room or not sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, really, it feels funky in here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know
Exactly.
what it is. And of course, if you walk in the room and you can feel other people's anger,
Exactly. Yeah.
you can feel their anger, but so
Bad
so
vibes.
yeah. So it does involve the body,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or vice versa. If everything in there is good and happy, you can feel that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Wow.
what?
I was just reading that next sentence. Knowledge comes
Mm-hmm.
from the altar within and is timeless because it is certain.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
And when they talk, well, to me, when they talk about the altar within, it's to me, it's talking about the heart, that
Mm-hmm.
bridge between the physical and the spiritual. Thinking about the chakras now.
Mm-hmm.
And it all, well, they one of the books that I read in my research, or one of the, and it might have been more than one place, where they talk about the heart as being that bridge between it's physical and it is spiritual.
Mm-hmm. 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 And knowledge comes from the altar within and is timeless because it is certain.
Mm-hmm.
So knowledge is timeless? Wasn't like a couple of paragraphs before they said that knowledge was temporary? Knowledge comes from the altar within and is timeless because it is certain. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up because
Yeah.
it seems like before we have seen that knowledge was only temporary. Knowledge is power because it is certain, and certainty is strength. Well, no, that's okay. So it must be perception. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So knowledge is certain. So knowledge is forever. To recognize is to know again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So it's just me. Don't listen to me. See, that's why you don't listen to everybody. Yeah. So knowledge is timeless because it is certain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because once you know something, you know it. Nobody can
Exactly.
make you unknow it.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. If I know this thing, I know it. And you can't make, I don't care how much time has passed, I still know it.
That's right.
You know.
And you know something because you have experienced it, seen it, or something has happened that has made it unequivocally true.
Mm-hmm. Then let's see. So number 13 says to perceive the truth is not the same as to know it. Okay, well, yeah. Yeah. To perceive the truth is not the same as to know it. Yeah. Because, going back to my God thing, my God journey,
right.
It's it was always a perception, and now that I no longer hold that image, I don't see that. I don't see that as truth, and that's the thing that I know now. Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on this last one?
To perceive the truth is not the same as to know it. It's almost like I'm looking at something, but I'm not seeing it. If that makes sense. I'm looking directly at it, I'm seeing it, but for some reason or other, my thought processes won't let me accept it, I guess is the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
It has to be, for lack of a better word, implanted firmly within my mind for me to accept it and know it as the truth.
And to perceive truth is not the same as to know it, because now that I know, I know, and there's no doubt for me, and I have worked at it so that I can, going back to my God thing now, so that I can have I can describe it now. I have language for it. It's not only thought anymore. It is it went out of that realm of perception where I could only perceive it, and I didn't have language for it. And that's what I think that's the difference with knowledge. Now I know enough to be able to articulate why God is not a man in the sky for me anymore.
Right.
And to maintain my allegiance to it, because I still do. I still hold allegiance to it.
Right.
And so that's how I see this sentence. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's 6:37, so
My
but we
goodness.
did pretty good. We started a
Yeah.
few minutes late.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just how we get to talking.
Yep. And we can get hung up on things and spend, and I'm not going to say more time than necessary.
No, I'm not gonna say that either.
It was necessary. Yeah.
I think we do good because these are really big concepts.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is it is, how do I want to put it? It's enlightening us to some of the fables that we have been taught for many years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just shines the light on some of those fables that we have been taught over the years, giving us that truth.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, you know, because I'm gonna let this be part of my roundtable too. The thing about it is that because I am certain in what I believe, I don't have to have anybody believe that along with me.
Exactly.
And I think that before, when I was still in that process of just only perceiving, I needed to have a connection with somebody else who believed the same thing. You know, but now I'm very comfortable with people either accepting how I feel and say, or agreeing with how I feel, or, you know, they can
Not
just,
agreeing.
you know, that's a whole bunch of, you know, poppycock, you know, and that's okay too. And that's how I see that. That's how I see myself as growing. And I do want to thank everybody here because now, you know, before I only got this language because of this group. I have only been able to talk about these things in my, you know, in my life because I have had opportunity to express my thoughts, you know, on many occasions, and I have been challenged on those thoughts to make me really say, okay, well, yeah, well, why do I think like this, and how come I don't think like that, and let me, you know, let me use what you're saying as food for thought too. And I think that this is one of the things that I do like about our group is because um we take our time. There's no rush. I mean, what are we rushing for? Well, I gotta hurry up and know something.
Exactly.
And so I like to go slow, and so you know I think that this is perfect for me. So yeah. So what how I'm just going to continue to go slow with it. I'm just going to pretend to continue to experiment with it, to express it, to see how it feels, to examine it in my own life and see how it works for me or how it doesn't work for me.
Thank you.
Okay, how about you?
Today's lesson, it was, how do I want to express it? It was an eye opener. It was a revelation as far as knowing the difference between or getting to know the difference, I should say, because I still feel there's a lot for me to perceive. There's a lot more that I can learn as we discuss and disseminate this Course in Miracles. And I enjoy our times together because it awakens parts of me that I didn't even realize were there. You know?
Yeah. Okay, well, that's fantastic. So let's see, tomorrow, we're going to try to do I am in the morning from 11 to 12. And tomorrow evening, we're going to have our book reading on flight. Here, let me tell you about this. I walked in here the other day. Where is it? I walked in here in this room the other day, and here the book was in the middle of the floor. I have been looking for this book for 2 weeks everywhere. And this book was just laying in the middle of the floor. Where did it come from?
Oh no. Some spirit wanted to read the book and they decided they were going to take it and read it.
And read it first. And you know, because it is a good book now. It is a good book, I will say. I have enjoyed reading this book, and I can't wait to get to where we are tomorrow. And that's from 7 to 8:30. Then on this Saturday, we're going to do the book of John. That's the first Saturday.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean the Gospel of Thomas. Oh my gosh, why do I keep saying the book of John? The Gospel of Thomas.
Yeah,
We'll
okay.
be doing that, but this will be the second Sunday, and I don't have my calendar with us. What happens on the second Sunday?
Let me see if I have it down.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that tarot? I think that's tarot. Right?
The wrong calendar. See my, wait a minute.
But I think it's tarot. Yeah, I left my calendar in the other room. Or
Let me wait, this coming Saturday is the first Saturday, right?
Yeah, this would be this first Saturday. But this will be the second Sunday, because Sunday was the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this would be the second Sunday. What's the second Sunday?
The second Sunday?
It's tarot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So tarot. So I think we did up to 15 the last time, right?
Yes.
Or did we
you mean the tarot card?
Up to the major arcane. We did the major arcane
up to 15.
Up to 15, and we did so we've done the
we did
swords and pentacles. So
was it pentacles?
Yes.
Okay.
Pentacles and swords. So so the next one, let's do up to let's see. So let's do from 16 to
21.
Yeah, we might as well. Yeah, because that's the remainder of the cards. So yeah, let's do the remainder. So yeah, so let's do the remainder of not the cards. Goodness gracious, the remainder of the
major arcane.
Of the major arcane, and let's just do the cups.
Okay.
Yeah, as the minor arcane.
Okay.
And then when we follow up the next month, we'll start to do some spreads along with the what would the last one?
Wands, I think. Yeah, the wands, because we've done swords, we've done pentacles.
Yeah, and this time we'll do
cups.
Yeah, cups, which are the emotions.
Yeah.
This is emotion. Okay, well then that's it. Now I don't have. Have you decided what you wanted to do for the 14th?
I would really like to go to the Body Mind Spirit Expo. And I'll provide the transportation.
Okay, so we can do that, because I just got to let Hope know, so that I make sure that Wazion is going to be somewhere.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll let her know that on the 14th. We're gonna go. You want to go on the 14th or the 15th? Did you want to go that Saturday or that Sunday, or did you want to do both days? What do you want to do?
That I've been thinking about. Let's go Saturday.
Okay.
And see what the agenda is for Sunday, and then we can decide. And probably I'll be able to look it up online anyway. Yeah. And we'll discuss whether we want to go back on Sunday or not.
Okay. Okay. All right. That sounds good. Okay. So Saturday for sure. Oops.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All righty then.
Okay.
Well then that's it for today's class. Would you like to close us out in prayer?
I will.
Okay.
Let us take in a deep cleansing breath. Sit tall, back straight. And take in a deep, cleansing breath. Letting that white light sweep through every cell and vein and vessel, muscle in our bodies. Cleansing all of the impurities that it finds. And as we exhale, we let go of those impurities. Releasing the carbon dioxide that the plants, grass, the flowers, the trees need to survive, as they give us the oxygen that we need to survive. And we are grateful for this time that we've had together this day in discussing this Course in Miracles, teaching us that love is letting go of fear. And when we love, we don't fear. We're able to face whatever challenges this life tosses our way. And be grateful for the company that we have in Inner Haven. The understanding that we have like family. And for the love and understanding that we gain in each of our get-togethers, whether it's in person or virtually. And with that, I say, and so it is.
And so it is. All righty then. Hey.
Okay. Yeah.
This was a good session.
Yes, it was.
I enjoyed it.
As did I.
Always do. All right then, darling.
Okay.
I'll chat with you later. Love you.
Okay. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.